Good evening and welcome to our Monday night edition of the Weekly Armchair. This is Devil's Advocate. This is a preview for Manchester United versus Atalanta. Not Atlanta, it's Atalanta. We are running with it, and obviously my guest tonight is Adam Matic. You may know him from YouTube, on Nightstand. He's got his own channel as well, Adam Matic TV. He's an absolute class human being. May as well get straight into it. How are you this evening, my friend? How are you?
Yeah, mate. Just preparing for another week of craziness, no doubt, with following United. Plenty of U-turns, 360s, 180s, whatever you want to call it, ahead this week. Could be. It's a pivotal week, obviously. Big game tomorrow, and obviously the derby at weekend. So yeah, loads to look forward to, mate.
Yeah, he'll be doing 6:30 centons and shit off mad scenes. That'll actually be it. The madness is coming. That's all it is, really.
It is, mate. It is. No one knows what's coming, but we just know it's going to be crazy.
Before we dive into the show, I just want to get your overall opinion, in terms of where you're at right now. Obviously, you are a very vocal Man United fan. That's something I always admire. Is fans who aren't afraid to speak up and speak about their own personal views on the club. Because at the end of the day, the fans are the life and the heart of a football club, and without fans, a football club is nothing. You can have billions and billions of pounds to pump into a club, but without a fan base, it pretty much means quote unquote fuck all. So right now, in your mindset, where are you in your mindset right now as a Man United fan?
Mate, it's where I'm at. I think everyone knows who watches me a lot. Where I'm at, I think I was quite fair with Ole and giving him chance, but I was one of the fans that just wasn't prepared to accept that defeat to Liverpool, and then the excuses that came after it. I wasn't prepared to be smashed to pieces by Leicester and then absolutely destroyed by Liverpool in the same week. And I said then at the Liverpool game, I said that's enough for me. That's just proving to me that he hasn't got what it takes. And you know what? People may say he's improved or he can improve, but he's never going to be able to compete against Klopp, Tuchel, and Guardiola. And we were all willing to give him this season. I said that last season. I said he shouldn't have got his contract extension. He should have just let him play out this last one and see how it went. Because if we did give him that deal, and something like this comes around, it's a lot easier to let go and everyone walks away amicably. But right now, we've dug ourselves a hole with giving him that contract, because now we're making decisions that just looks like they're trying to cover their own asses by keeping Ollie in a job. And yeah, even if he does turn it around a bit, he's proved to me already now this season that he just hasn't got what it takes to bring that trophy in. There's only the FA Cup that's really left in reality, if we're all being honest. And for me, that's why I'm one of them. Obviously, I'll support the team when they go out on the pitch. I'll support them every week. I say I go to every game. So I just know deep down that he's not got it in him to take us to that next level. And teams are moving ahead of us and further away from us until we realise it. I don't think football-wise we're ever going to catch up with the big guns that are in this league with us.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. I mean, I've never been on the side of all in or all out, because you know what, you see it yourself. Obviously, you've got your own YouTube channel. You host on other channels as well. You're very active on Twitter. You know it yourself. The all in, all out debate, it is so damn toxic, and it's just I'm lucky I don't even get involved in it too much. I just want to, as you said, support the team. It doesn't matter who's in charge, but if they aren't quote unquote fit enough to do the job, then rightly so, it is a horrible decision, anyone to lose their job. But at the end of the day, if you want to progress, you can't stagnate, you can't stay still, you've got to push. It's not always the right decision, especially because it's a club legend, but there's times where you really need to make the horrible decisions if you want to progress. But it just shows a mindset of where they are, and are they going to stick with him? It looks like they're going to. There's a 3-game plan is what I've constantly see. But when does 3 games become 5? I don't know what it becomes, but I don't like the fact they're not being concrete with the plan. I want them to actually come out and say, we're giving them until Christmas, or we're going to give them till the end of the season, instead of 3 games. I think 3 games is just spineless. I think it's just, I think it's cowardice.
It's what it is, mate. It's game by game, and can he do something this week that can sort of deflect or sway the aggravators and the people who are criticising what they're watching and all the journalists and everyone like that. I mean, even in the interview today, it was just all the same. I take on criticism, bring it on, all this garbage. I mean, you don't even have to bring it up. It doesn't matter. It's part of the job anyway. We all know it is. So why make a big deal out of it? I know the question was asked, and he's got to answer it. But he deflects away from talking tactics all the time. So why not deflect away from a question like that, which is, I just think he's just not got he hasn't got the pedigree to answer a question like that, and it just winds people up. Really, he should just be saying, look, we're not talking about that. We're concentrating on the football, and we've got a big game against Atalanta. That's all I'd expect from him now, because his stock has fallen badly, and it takes something miraculous to turn a lot of the fan base around right now with Ole, and I'm one of them. I'd have to see him literally go on like a 15-game winning streak and really be competing at the top for him to convince me now. And I know he's not got it because he's just up against the best, and he's not at that high table. He's not there. So it's like I said then at the start, even if he gets better and results get better, I mean, it's not difficult considering how crap we've been already this season. So anything's going to look better right now. And that's what people are actually clinging on to. And it's like, where are your standards? It's not good enough. At the start of the season, we all said he needed a trophy and to compete for the league. And now we're happy again because we're just creeping back in the top four.
Yeah.
It's already a regression from last season. And I think a lot of these players and this big rebuild will start to disappear already. So the big rebuild that is coming, he says the other day he's nearly here with where he wants this team. Well, Cavani's gone in the summer. Pogba and Lingard aren't signing new deals. Donny's going to be going. Ronaldo's gone in another year and a half. So how can you be close? There's no longevity in it, and you're already 3 years in. Right now, you're bringing in the likes of Ronaldo and Cavani are literally at the end of their careers. So there's no future in that. You can't get Martial, Greenwood, or Rashford into your current team. Yeah. So for me, it's selfish short-term thinking just to try and get through and keep the job. And I don't see a future in it. I really don't. And I put all them points together, and that's what's made me come to where I am right now with Solskjaer and his, as I call them, the merry men on the training ground, because I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced at all. And I'm going to be here for a long time after Ollie's gone. And I want to see something that's building. I can see it at the other clubs. I can see the structure and the progress and the future and where they're trying to get to. Right now, for us, it just looks like the manager's trying to save his job. And it just looks desperate.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with you. And I'm just going to, before I move on, I just want to come to because I do have something to ask you. I'm just going to come to the comments because there's a few here from Struan and also George. So good evening to you, Struan. And George, with his opening comment of the evening, even the players that have been brought in are getting older. Varane and Maguire late 20s as well. Yep, that's very true. That is very true. And hopefully Sancho starts tomorrow. Yeah, we'll be touching on that very shortly because we will be going through like certain players, selections, team lineups. We'll be doing all that later on, but we've already got Adam's point of view on the manager, and I think it's very fair. It's always been fair, and I'm on the same mindset where, because as a club legend, you would want, it doesn't matter who you are, if it's a club legend, you would want them to succeed more because obviously they've played for the club, they know what it means. But like you said, if there's no end-to-end, like clear as day sight of what's coming, it's hard to really lament, well, what exactly are you doing? And that's the fear, is that's not something you want to have as a point of view, but it's getting to the point where, okay, what exactly are you doing day in, day out? Are you trying to run the club the same way it was done from 1986 to 2013? This isn't that period anymore. We can't, I know there's a great thing about looking to Sir Alex Ferguson for advice and how he would want things to be run, but if this is your team, this is your club, you're the manager of not just the biggest club in England, but in my opinion, the biggest club in football. But other people will say Real Madrid, Barcelona, and fair enough, that's their opinion. But this is one of the biggest clubs in football. If you really want to run it like with some authority and actually stamp it, like rather than just being in fear. And like you said, like it's just there's no future. There's bringing in like Ronaldo and Cavani. They're great, But like you said, it's not enough. Like, he's got some fantastic talent in Rashford, Greenwood, and Sancho there. It's just, is there enough to say anything's sustainable? And I think you've pointed out so far, like there isn't. There is no light at the end of the tunnel because of the short term lookout. It's not enough. And if you want to build, you do it properly, but it's not working. And George says the other issue for Ollie is the modern day means that a process, which is a word which has been used consistently over Ollie's tenure, is outdated. Success is produced quickly nowadays. You look at certain teams, it's not exactly hard to disagree with that. It is spot on. And no doubt this will be Keane. Hello, mate. He's got the time and his signings. We had a favourable run of fixtures to be in a favourable position, but unfortunately that is not the case. Standards need to be held high. Key word there, standards. And obviously it's been used by Adam as well, as like, standards come from who? That's what I'd like to know, because it's like, if you put...
It's split, innit, mate? Because the standards of the fans are different to the standards of the coaching staff and the players. It's like, I made the point outside of Spurs Stadium on Saturday, and I said, and I went all in on Scott McTominay in that interview that he made a couple of weeks before, or it was just before the Liverpool game. I went all in on him. It really pissed me off. I'm not going to lie. It really did. And then I understand the passion and winning a game. It's great. You've been under pressure, but you're Manchester United. You don't come and fist pump like you've won a cup final when you've won a simple league game. And that, for me, yes, it's great. And you know what? You love the passion and everyone's got to celebrate. But when you go back and you think, if we're celebrating that hard just for a simple league win, then really it is sort of setting a standard. It's setting a standard like, okay, we're back now. That's it. Everyone should be happy again. Well, no. Why don't you do that 6 games in a row? And then we can start celebrating. Right now, we're like Arsenal standard. Celebrating like they won a cup final and scored goals in the first half. Yeah, you got a goal. Well done. Let's move on. There's no time to celebrate. It's like, I remember the best interview I heard was Ben Foster when he won. He won the League Cup with United, and then he won it with I can't remember which team it was. Who he won it with? He won it with someone else. I can't remember which team he went to, and he won it twice.
It's not like West. No, it wasn't West Brom, but I was just trying to think who he's played for. It wasn't
someone
Watford either.
Someone else. I can't remember who it was now. It was another English team he went to. But he said it's great because I can go and celebrate this. I can go out.
There we go.
Yeah, Birmingham. Yeah, it was when they beat Arsenal in the final.
2011, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and he said in an interview afterwards, after the Birmingham win, he went, "I can go out and celebrate this cup final win. Brilliant! I won a trophy. When I won it with United, we had a drink." And it was straight back to training the next day. So Alex Ferguson had us ready for the next game. The season wasn't over. Yeah. And this was it. And that was us not celebrating a cup final win. Actually, winning a trophy, we didn't celebrate it. We were just carrying on. These players are fist pumping. I mean, how far have we dropped when this is the standard? Yeah, come over, clap the fans. Thank you. See you later. Ollie comes over, both fists in the air. I'm like, yeah, that'd be good, that, Ollie, if he did that in a final, maybe, and he was bringing a trophy over and showing that off. And that itself I know it's a little minor thing, and I love the fact that players enjoy winning, and obviously I don't want to take that away from them, but
absolutely,
it's 10 games into a season. It's just a league game against a very poor team, and it's being celebrated like it's the be all and end all.
Yeah.
So I'm just looking at it and I'm going, but there, the players' standards are set there. And then to add to that with players, even when they have a bad game like Fred, McTominay, Shaw, Maguire, like I brought up recently, they're straight back in the team, mate. So how do they know? And all they do know, is that they're good enough and have played good enough in that game to warrant a place in the team next week. No one's held. No one's got any circumstances for their actions or the way they've performed. You know what I mean? No one's being dropped for a poor performance. So they're automatically in their heads, they're thinking, I'm doing all right. And for me, again, that rolls out the week after, and everyone wonders why. Why is it so bad? And then they'll come out and talk in interviews, we've got to do this and that. I said, you're the guys on the pitch. Don't tell us, show us. you know what I mean? And only
You're
now
fondness
this week,
mention that,
mate.
yeah.
Yeah, only now this week, because of everything that's gone on and all the stink that the fans have kicked up, did we get that result. Because Ollie would have never played that formation. Never.
Definitely. And I think this one stands point as a comment by George. I think this is absolutely spot on. Is one fun incident to demonstrate standards was Ollie clapping and laughing last season when Fred got off a good shot. No, it's true. I think there's certain players that have the that view, and they just take it differently. And I'm like, that's not how you should be. And I agree with you in terms of like winning a game. It's great to win a game, but the second that result is being celebrated, you celebrate on the day. Following day, you're back at it. Like there's no rest for the wicked. Like, and I think that's the thing. It's a well-oiled machine. If this had been Man City or Liverpool, like if they'd won a game, yeah, they would take it and then they'd be back on it the next day, and that's how it is. Couple of points here. One in particular, for Keane's asking for you is Ronaldo's overall performance on Saturday. Are the media far off the mark that he is hindering the team? What's your thoughts on that? Is Ronaldo hindering the team, or do you think it's just quote unquote, in my way of just saying it, media bullshit?
Let's be honest. Everyone in the media are probably not fit to lace Ronaldo's boots. I don't think there's one pundit out there that's fit to lace Ronaldo's boots. So when someone comes out and says Ronaldo's hindering this team, Ronaldo this and Ronaldo that, you're like, oh, where's your medals? This guy's done it in 4 different leagues. He's won it on the international scene. He's a record goal scorer on the international level of all time. So, is Ronaldo hampering this team? No. When you buy a Ronaldo, you know what you're buying. You're buying a player that you need to build a team around. Otherwise, it doesn't work. It's not Ronaldo that's the problem. It's Solskjaer and making a team work around Ronaldo, because you don't just go out and buy a Ronaldo to fit into a team that's already working a certain way. Ronaldo's a player that has to have things built around him like Portugal do. You know what you're getting. If Ronaldo went into a City, Chelsea or a Liverpool, it'd be absolutely tearing it up because they're all settled in. For us to bring Ronaldo in, and I don't think it was in the plan, kind of did cause a problem, but a problem for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer.
Knee-jerk reaction.
Him not being able to handle him has been a problem. And he's still got 7 goals this season. He's had 2 disallowed, which were absolute beauties, which were unlucky as well. So he's pretty much bordering nearly 10 double figures already. In reality, he's not hindering the team. It's Ollie and his inability to make it work around him. Now, like I said, then all of a sudden he puts 2 up front and we play a different formation. Ronaldo looks like a different animal. Yeah. So is he going to learn from that? That's what we wanted to see. Is Ollie going to learn? We'll see tomorrow night, mate, won't we?
Yeah, I do think tomorrow, though, it's going to be. I think you'll see the back. I think you'll see the back 5 system next week against City. I think tomorrow we might revert to the back 4, which, to be fair, I can see why. I just don't agree with it. I think maybe go 3-4-3 and just get some runners around them could work.
You know why, mate? Don't you?
But we know why.
He feels like he has to bring in these players. And he's got no control over it. He's got no control over his system and his squad. If he does revert back to the 4-2-3-1, it's simply because he has to bring Greenwood, Sancho, and Rashford back in somehow. Otherwise, he looks like he can't handle it. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And if it ends up costing him, then it's down on Ollie, because he's seen a system that works, but he hasn't got the balls to leave all these players out. And don't forget Pogba. He has to fit Pogba in it.
And speaking of Pogba, I do have a question from Bath Time Move On, who, by the way, also, quote-unquote, called you handsome, by the way. I know Bath Time, I've seen Bath Time Vaughan review streams. He's a funny lad. But Bath Time Vaughan did ask a question, and it is going to relate to something down the line, but we may as well answer it right now. Do you think Pogba will play again? I can already put in the battle. Pogba's playing tomorrow. I think he will, but I don't know.
Seeing that he's on that plane, I think kind of says he will play because he's suspended, into so it's the only game that he can get him in. And again, that for me shows poor management. Yeah, it really does. The fact that he's suspended I've got to play him because he's available for this one game. It just shows me that he's got no control. You just had your most convincing, controlled performance of the season, albeit against Spurs, yes, but as a team, it sort of came together. But still, you're going to bring Ronaldo into it, and it kind of defeats everything that he said beforehand in terms of I'm close to getting this team where I want them to be. Before he said that, he'd not played Pogba in a game for free. You know what I mean? He'd not played him in 3 games. So all of a sudden, he's changed his formation. Then Pogba comes in just because he's available when he's not started him in the Champions League and he's not started him against Liverpool, 2 of the biggest games of the season.
Yep.
I mean, nah, mate. He will play tomorrow, but that again will show me the weakness of Solskjaer because I don't see why Donny van der Beek shouldn't come in tomorrow or Matic.
If you gave me the option to run the United team sheet tomorrow, I would play the 3-4-3. I'd play the 3-5-2, whatever. But I would have Van de Beek and Matic in my midfield behind a number 10 or behind the front 3. That's exactly what I would do tomorrow. I think that's the right way. George's comment, he's been spot on tonight. Ronaldo has always worked well with a potent foil next to him. He had that. He had that at Real with Benzema, who has shown with world-class talent. He's always been there. Absolutely.
Look at Ronaldo's. Ronaldo's better years, wasn't it? It was the Benzema and Ozil combination. So you could say that's like the Cavani and the Bruno combination, man. Because Bruno will put it on a plate. How many assists Bruno's got for Ronaldo this season are crazy, and they're not simple assists either. They're absolute wilder balls. I mean, you could say the one against Young Boys, the one against West Ham, the one on Saturday. Absolute pinpoint balls from 30, 40 yards onto a plate for Ronaldo. That's what he's going to get with Bruno. And that is why Bruno will play every game that Ronaldo plays. I doubt you will see Ronaldo start without Bruno. And it's funny how they both came off quite similar time as well on Saturday.
You just knew they were getting rested for the game. You could just tell. It was only a couple of minutes apart, I think, in terms of changes, which says it all. And here's a comment from Keane. I know for a fact I've already seen this from him already tonight. Wish someone gave me a time machine. 2015 we signed Cavani instead of Martial. To be fair, both of them are quality, but I know which one, in all fairness, I would prefer. It's like that point number 9, I would take Cavani. I think Pogba can really suit that formation, as would have less defensive duties, and he's worked well with a free in his career for France. Yeah, you put the right midfielder around him, it works.
Yeah, it's like what George said there, mate. He's got a bit more freedom because he's got 3 centre-backs. He'll have 1 defensive midfielder next to him, and he'll have covering on either side with the wing-backs. So Pogba will have that sort of free reign where he can be the one out of that sort of holding midfield area that can go forward and link with Bruno in the front 2.
Yeah.
So I do think Pogba fits into this formation, but again, I'm looking at Ollie going, well, Matic fits into this. Donny van der Beek fits into this. Tellez is probably suited to it more than Luke Shaw.
Absolutely.
And I'm looking at it going, where do Greenwood and Rashford, Lingard, Sancho, and Martial even, where do they come into it?
That's the confusion. That's the confusion, mate. That's the confusion. Is I think I seen somebody put a tweet up earlier, and I think it's spot on. I think we've got 10. I think it's 10 forward players to play in a front 2. If we were playing the 3-5-2, and we've got 10 to fit in a front 3, and then we've got 8 midfielders to fit in a 3-man midfield, and I'm like, for fuck's sake, it just says it all really, just how out of control it is. This is why you really need to manage a squad properly, and if you only have a certain system, you should just stick with it and don't overload the squad too much. But then again, it's just doing that, and that's the nightmare. Quote from Keane is absolutely spot on. It's like Bruno has 14 goals and assists in 16 games and no penalties. Well, apparently he's called Penandes, but he definitely isn't. Bruno's assist for Rashford versus Atalanta was also world class. Definitely, he sent that goal all the way to the States, and Atlanta don't even play in the States. And another comment from George. The key thing versus Spurs was the organisation, and it should not be difficult to tell these players stay in their shape, but it's taken 3 years. Yep, organisation should have been set up a long time ago. It doesn't matter what system you play. And bath time with Vaughan, before we move on, comment from bath time from Vaughan. If we play a 5-3-2, I think he'll pick the same team, but with Rashford in for Cavani. The mid block means huge space in behind. Yeah, he needs the quick forward just to deal with the pressure in behind. Just lets them break. I think that's fine because I've seen other teams do it. And he's done it before. It works. Having a quick player beside a potent number 9, it's not a problem.
I think it's like that, mate. It's very important because if you're going to play the 3-4-3 or the 3-5-2, then you're ultimately going to be putting your best wingers, best fullbacks who can cross the ball. But then that brings you into the area of who would you rather have up front? Because I know I'd rather have Cavani and Ronaldo on the end of a cross than Rashford or Greenwood, because in the air, them two are probably two of the best in the business. So it does restrict who we can play up front as well, because we're not going to create as much through the middle, because obviously teams will nullify that in terms of passing through, and we are very limited because of the defensive players and quality on the ball players that Ollie will pick. Because if he doesn't pick a Donny or a Pogba, then them splitting passes aren't going to come through the middle. So you're going to rely on the wings, and that means it can only be Ronaldo and Cavani. Because let's be honest, as good as Rashford and Greenwood are, they're not exactly well known for the old Mark Hughes bullet header, are they? Let's be honest. So, yeah, I think he's sort of restricted in that. And another conundrum that he has to sort of figure out, because there is a formation, but then there's a style of play to go with the formation. That's what I was talking about the other night about systems. There has to be a system and then
as well
a subsystem that works with different players in that formation. And it's what people are not thinking. It's like people just throw the formation in, it works better. Well, no, because it'll get sussed out like Lampard did in the semi-final when we looked absolutely pathetic with it. Yeah. It's about who plays in that system to match up. So it's like I said then, the wing-backs will probably be different wing-backs if you're playing with Rashford and Greenwood up front, or even Martial. Does Lingard come into that number 10 role where Bruno plays? If Bruno has a rest. But then, like I just said, then if Ronaldo's playing, Bruno will probably play as well.
I think this would be a wise option.
Yeah, I think Shaw's played this before. Option. Yeah, Shaw has played in that back three, any before.
Yeah, I do agree with that one, in all honesty, in terms of where we go. Obviously, got to talk about the game at the weekend. Obviously, we did beat Spurs 3-0. I know some people in particular were quote-unquote disappointed, that I've seen on Twitter anyway. There's people that were quote-unquote disappointed, frustrated, pissed off that we won the game. Me, I know, I don't care about the match situation at the moment. I care about the team, but in all honesty, I'm glad we won, because it's a game that we actually had to win. But in all honesty, you look at the result, it's the first clean sheet since the 1-0 win against Wolves that frankly we didn't even deserve to win in the first place, in my opinion. We didn't deserve it. But we got the 3 points that day, we got the 3 points yesterday. He's reverted to his system. It looked more organised than before. There was actually players in a compact set system. Obviously, I know you were at the game, so based on your, you weren't, I don't know, were you at the game? Sorry?
I was.
From looking from inside the stadium compared to myself watching on TV, what was your overall opinion of the game against Spurs, and what's your view on how we were organised against Spurs? Do you think it was actually just, as it's always referred as, individual brilliance, or do you actually think it was a good team performance as a whole rather than individual crap?
Well, the way I looked at it, it was a crap game for quality. Two very poor teams that are under pressure, and you could feel it. The best thing we did in the game was battle and win our individual battles all over the pitch, and that was against a very poor Spurs team. They sort of played into that formation for us, Spurs as well. They played in front of us, so we were always under control in terms of the way we set up. And it's no surprise they didn't have a shot on target. They were very, very easy to play against, I thought. Varane pretty much bossed Maguire and Lindelof through the whole game. You don't pick up on little things like that, but that's one thing I did pick up on. And if you're at the game, you could see the way he was organising the defence. He was a different level to anything else we've seen while he's been missing. Obviously, we've seen while he's been missing what's happened. But straight away, him coming in, the organisation, that combined with how poor Spurs were and the fact that we had better players, that did make the difference, because the game could have gone either way until Bruno's brilliance and Ronaldo's absolutely world-class finish. The game could have gone either way. Son's chance could have gone in. And that's, like I said, people are saying that this formation is to be all that. Yeah, it did look better and we looked organised. And we looked as we should against a poor Spurs team. That's bog standard for me. That's like the minimum requirement for Man United. But what would have happened if we'd have gone 1 goal down? What would this formation have done then? And how would Oli have approached it then? That's what I think is going to be the next question for this formation. because every time we've played it, it's worked. But I think he's too scared to continue with it, because if it doesn't, then I don't see a way back with it into a game. I'm trying to think
there's so
down the
many.
lines when we've played this formation. We've always seemed to have took the lead. One time we didn't was the catastrophe in the semi-final against Chelsea. And I think that's what scared him off it a lot. We've always worked well with it and we've always took the lead with it, but we've never not had to come from behind with it. And the one time we did, we were horrendous.
Yeah, we do need to look at that, and I think you're absolutely spot on in terms of like I remember it was during like the early tenure of like no, it wasn't his early tenure. It was his second full season under Mourinho, and I remember it really well. It was I think it was the game after we won 4-0. I think it was against, I think it may have been West Ham, or at the time I can't remember who it was. But his exact comments were, "Okay, we're dominating teams by scoring first, but I want to see how the team responds when we go behind." And we saw that at times under Mourinho, where we went behind. At times we would come back and get the result, and at times we were absolutely shocking. So I do agree with you in terms of that comment, in terms of where we respond. I haven't seen us particularly respond well under the back five, but at least we have dominated with the system when it matters, but it's the longevity. Got a fair few comments. One, like obviously we just alluded to, this was spot on. I thought that was fantastic recovery there. Keane's comment, came home to Manchester with Kane in his pocket. I think Kane's head's still in Wembley, to be honest. Evan Maguire hasn't a clue. Well, yeah. Sorry, George's comment. Also, when De Gea distributed hurriedly and gave the ball to Murat, so quick, and he was shaking. That's something he just needs to pace himself. He's an experienced goalkeeper. He's still a fantastic goalkeeper, but don't rush yourself. It doesn't take.
I mean, it's like that. It's like the pressure's on now with the modern goalkeeper, and you see Edison make a mistake, and it's batted off like it's nothing. It's just expected because that's the way they play. Problem is we haven't got the identity to back our mistakes up. So when City do it, it's like, oh, well, we know that because that's how Pep's telling them to play, and it doesn't matter. They make a mistake, then he owns it. So for me, I still think we need to figure out how we are playing. We haven't got the capabilities to play out from the back unless Varane's playing. He does bring that calmness. Maguire and Lindelof are horrible with Shaw and Bazako and trying to play out from the back. We've seen that over the last few weeks. So there's no doubt about that. But Varane, that's how good a player he is and how lucky we are to have him.
He's probably our best defender. Actually, not probably, he is. He's our best defender since Vidic and Ferdinand. Like, because I can't separate two of them because they were both world class. He is the best defender we've had since then. And spot on comment by Vicky. Good evening to you as well. As Varane brought some faith back to defence. Yeah, he actually made Maguire for once stay in his position. George, also on set pieces, Spurs did seem to cause trouble. Yeah, they were all over us for set pieces. I don't disagree there. One for you, by the way. And me as well as Trevor, evening Reece. I see you have a big dog on tonight, and Adam Matic. No, it's not a big dog. We have the big dog. Can you ask him if I can have his autograph, please? And thank you. Well, if you give him like maybe a few more compliments, he might change. He might say aye. He might not.
Yes.
And Adam came from the stands and assisted Rashford.
I think I've done that a couple of times. You know what, mate? We said it. I've got this season, as bad as it's been, I've actually got 100%. We've got 100% record in London. So we went away and did West Ham, and we've gone away to Spurs and done them. Matic has assisted in both of them games for goals because he set up Lingard against West Ham off the bench, and he set up Rashford off the bench as well at weekend. So he's definitely making an impact. We have to play in London every week. We do. Thankfully, a few away games coming up like Chelsea and Brentford over the next few weeks there in London. So we should be all right, mate.
Definitely. I think there's two sides to Matic. I absolutely love him as a player. The only thing, I think with the ball, he's fantastic. The only thing I think you could probably say is just like just the lack of pace he has, but he's calm and he's calm composure, like on the ball, off the ball. He's just a fantastic player. I wish he was 5 years younger.
Yeah,
he's just
mate.
So
he's
good.
Another one of our catalogue of players that we got too late. We signed too late, and that's the thing with United at the moment. It's like we could have had Cavani at a different level, could have Schweinsteiger, Zlatan, all these players, you know what I mean, that we could have had at a different time of the career. We bought the right players, but at the wrong time.
Yeah, it's just like it just shows like they recognise the talent. They just recognise it's exactly the wrong fucking time. Coming from George, he's actually got a fair few comments here. Actually, there are a lot of good comments from George. As soon as Ollie gets his yeah, I know. As soon as Ollie gets his fingers burned, he decides to make a massive change. Not only the Chelsea and the FA Cup, but also against Spurs with Matic, Pogba, and Bruno. McTominay and Fred started coming in. Yeah, we're not even going to go there because that's just a catastrophe. It's also because McTominay and Fred don't do what Matic does as well when we play out. McTominay, what's that one there? McTominay loves to stand behind an opposition player, not provide an out ball when we try and build up, for example.
Looks like it's back to Adam Matic.
My internet hates me. It does this to me all the time. Yeah, like if you could describe my internet in one word, it starts with a C.
Yeah,
probably. I'm just not going to say.
I was throwing a few obliteries were coming out of my mouth fairly well with my internet as well, mate. Believe me, I was talking to Keane about it. Oh.
The good thing for me now is like I've got my day upgraded, so at least I've got more value on that one now for need be. I'm going to need it at some stage. But going back to a time machine, if there's one player above all we need to go in, that is Matic. Honestly, do anything with Matic. Like give him to Bayern Munich. They seem to have a good way of handling players at the minute, like making them look energetic and lasting a full season. Put Matic with Bayern, like let him come back. 28-year-old Matic, that's the dream. I feel sorry for Juan Mata, who wasted most of his prime with us. It's a fair comment.
Yeah.
And Trevor's question is, Reece, can you also ask Adam how many years was he a Serbian international?
I think it was, what was it now? About 8.
It's just so funny. To be fair, he just oozes class. That's all he is. He just oozes class. And he deserves a lot. Cheeky comment from Trevor. Reece, your internet might be playing up, but at least you always have your... Oh, for God's sake. I don't own them, and I never will.
Dan James, PJs.
I don't know why. Like I've been getting this for God knows how long, and it just doesn't leave me alone. It's disgraceful. But anyhow, but we are going to move on because obviously the game is tomorrow. It's the Champions League game against Atalanta. It is playing in Bergamo, not the US of A, according to some people who don't know their geography. But touching on how we played in the previous game, we got absolutely slaughtered. In the first half, like from pillar to post, Atalanta tore us a new one. If you put it honestly, I think we should have been 4-0 down at half time. It was just how bad we were. But in the second half, we just changed it into a different animal purely because the likes of Varane, who wasn't in that game, but
the second half, mate. The second half against Atalanta in that first game is the reaction in general after that Liverpool performance from us. But in one game, that just summed up what we are. When we have to do something desperate, we're dangerous. But if you asked anyone what our plan was, no one will be able to tell you. No one.
I couldn't even tell. What I was on the preview show for this the day before, and I watch Serie A regularly, and I watch Atalanta, and I'm like, they're going to come at us direct with that Dutch midfield they've got. They're going to come at us. They're going to be direct. They're going to use the width when it matters. Once they come at us direct through the middle, after they've played it from the wings, they're going to score. They're going to punish us. And no surprise, that's exactly what happened. We got ripped apart from the width. And obviously, the only difference is, and people did make a fair comment about this, is they had a fair few of their best players out as well. The likes of Goshen's was out. I look at it now and I'm thinking, what would have happened if their best players were actually on the field? In the second half response, you were right. Like it's a different animal. The likes of Ronaldo and all that, he will not want to play in the Europa League. He will want the Champions League. But just looking at the response, like judging that first half performance and obviously the performance against Liverpool, which was an absolute howler, how do you think we're going to measure up tomorrow, do you think it's going to be slightly similar, or do you think it will be? Do you think there will be a different approach?
Just as Reece's internet spazzes out again. It will be. Well, I think it's going to be a tougher game. It was hard enough at Old Trafford, but I do think that they are going to come at us. I do think that could play into our hands a bit. If Varane is back and the defence is a lot more solid, then we could pick Atalanta off. But they need to win the game. Like I said, I was saying last night on the United stand that I think it was Ricky who was saying we only really need 2 draws in the away games, which is pretty much right because we will beat Young Boys at home. Guarantee we will win that game. And that will leave us with, 11 points? That's more than enough to get through. I do think... I don't think it's going to be as easy as what a lot of people are saying. And it's going to be interesting with the formation. Is he going to go back to the back 4 of all nights to do it? When really that 3-4-3 is so suited to counter-attacking. And you know what Atalanta are going to do. So for me, I'm just thinking, don't change it. Because we know what they're like. And Ollie's even said it in his press conference today. He said they're going to come to us. They're very attack-minded. They do play quite open, which we know. But they can score goals. They scored 6 in the last 2 league games, taking 4 points. They're a very similar season to us, a bit hit and miss, both 5th in the league, actually. But like you said, with players back. And I think if Zapata played in that first half, I think we would have been more. I think we would have been further behind because he was unlucky in that second half. But for David De Gea, let's not forget the double save he made against Atalanta in the first half. We'd have been out, done and dusted. Because I don't think we'd come back from 3 down.
Yeah, I think at that point you would have said goodbye Champions League. That would have been it, gone. I do have 2 questions for you. Well, I'll give my opinion as well, but I'll get yours. First question is from Vicky. She has, could I ask on how you see, I'm going to go by, could I ask you see on Sancho starting or playing? He does know European football. I don't know when you can have him play Saturday. From my point of view, I hope he does play. I think tomorrow is the right game. You're absolutely right. It is European football. He's been impressive on the European stage. I think tomorrow you've got to play it. It's just, if he sticks with the same system, ideally you took it just a little bit and you play the 3-4-3, you play him out on that right-hand side. Otherwise, to play him, he's going to play on the right-hand side. I'd play him as 4-2-3-1, but he's played 10 before.
I'd play him as a wing-back. A wing-back with a different role. I'd go with the 3-4-3, convert obviously to 3-5-2. I would put Telles out on left wing back, bring Shaw back into a middle 3 because I think Lindelof's got a knock.
Yeah, he picked a knock in training,
Yeah, so I'd go Maguire, Varane and Shaw. I put Telles out on the left and I put Sancho out on the right. I'd drop Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Sancho does more than enough tracking back. Then you've got the 2 holding midfielders. So if you think about it, worst case scenario, Telles can always just push back and revert to a 4 when we haven't got the ball, if needed, for the overload. You've got the extra cover in the holding midfielder, which can cover Sancho. And to be honest, the amount of space he's going to get with the way Atalanta play and what Atalanta need to do tomorrow, that's why I think the perfect foil for us would be that, but with a more attack-minded wing-back. I don't see how Sancho fits into this system other than a wing-back. That's why I think if Conte did come in or would have come in, I think he would have converted Sancho to that style of game. And don't get me wrong, 3-4-3 pretty much is a winger. So in possession, which we do have a lot of this season, he would still be a more forward-thinking player. But Sancho has got amazing tracking back records as well. He does put a shift in. So he's the perfect man for me to play there. And then you can imagine a Sancho delivery or a Telles delivery to a Ronaldo or a Cavani. And I know Cavani won't play tomorrow, but you can imagine that service from them, from the wings.
Or they'll be licking the lips.
That would be our perfect file for this game tomorrow. He won't do it, but
he won't.
That's how I'll do it.
I think that'd be a great. I think that'd be a great option because I seen I replied to a tweet yesterday. It's Cantona's caller, so it's Larry. He's on Twitter. and he put a tweet up saying, if you could pick any player that played under, like any two players that played under Sir Alex Ferguson, if we were to play a back five, who would you bring in? And I said I would bring in. I'd bring in either Robson, Aquino, or Scholes for the midfield, and I would 100% bring in David Beckham as a right wing back.
Mm-hmm.
And people replied to my comment saying, "Why David Beckham?" I was like, over Wamsaga, I was like, best delivery of a ball I've ever seen. So much energy, underrated for that, and he's a workhorse, and he could also defend. I would have Beckham at right wing back all day long if it had been this sort of scenario. I would, because it's the exact same circumstance. And obviously, another question that came through is, could we see Ahmad get a game? I'm going to go on the limb. I'll say maybe in the last 10 minutes, but if all honesty, I don't see it happening.
It's like Trevor says there. The difference this week is the 5 substitutions rule for the European games. So
yeah,
if it's going well, I think we will see Ahmad. But going well for Ole has to be about 3-0 up. So
and then
I don't think we'll see it. If it's a tight game, I don't think we'll see him. He's got too many other players that need game time that are way ahead of Amad Diallo, and this is the problem he's got. Like I said, we're balancing it now. I look at Lingard needs to come in front of him, Sancho needs to come in front of him, Rashford, Greenwood, all these players. You could say Matic, Donny van der Beek, he's Mata in front of him, probably yes.
Yeah,
mate, there's too many players that are knocking on the door to get on the pitch at any point before Ahmad. It's a shame, but that's just the way that this club has run. Didn't dilute the squad in the summer the way it needed to be done, and now we've got players twiddling thumbs on match days, just going out for a little jolly. They won't get on the pitch.
Yeah, definitely. I do, just like many players, he's one of them I feel sorry for, because he's a quality player, and obviously this is a funny comment, but he's actually not wrong. George's comment, Trevor, apparently Donny scored his first goal for Ajax versus Ollie's Molde and Ollie holds grudges. I can categorically confirm you the first goal that Donny actually did score was against Molde. He did, in fact, and this has got to be the funniest comment I've seen all night. I heard the reason Donny doesn't play is because Ollie ordered Donny Osmond, as the Osmonds were his favourite band, and got Van de Beek. I'll admit that's actually quite funny. And Keane's comment, before we push on, Keane's comment, I think Hannibal and Ahmad need loans in January.
100% they do.
Yeah. And just in the back of that, I just wanted to ask you, in terms of obviously how you said you've got the 3-5-2, you would have Sancho as the right wing back, and you would have Telles. Who would you have in your back three? Would it be Shaw, Varane, Maguire, or would you make
Shaw, Varane, and Maguire? You could rest Shaw if you wanted to bring Bailly in, but I do feel like that left-hand side with Tellers not playing as many games and Shaw comfortable in that position, it's just a good cover for Tellers because he is more forward-thinking than what Shaw is. So I think it's good to have someone who knows that left-hand side well, like Shaw, rather than Eric Bailly. Because I think if you remember back when we had Bailly in a back three against Paris Saint-Germain in that famous last 16 game in Paris, he was having an absolute nightmare on that right-hand side of the three, Eric Bailly, and got subbed off. And we reverted back to the four simply because Bailly was being overrun.
I don't usually drink, but that night I was tempted to go on what they would say a proper binge because of how bad he was. And I drink, but I don't drink as much. It's like now and again. But that night I was tempted to.
It was shocking. He had one of them games, but that's why I don't trust Bailly in a free. I'd put Shaw in there with Varane and Maguire, definitely.
Yeah, I think if Lindelof had went, in all fairness, I would have dropped Maguire if Lindelof had went, because I don't think he's having a great period of time lately. I think he would need to be removed from that. I think he would need to be removed from the spotlight because he's not been best form since he came back, and it's not gone well for him. There's one comment here actually, but as much as I've seen this firsthand, I personally don't want him back there in Man United, but McTominay plays in the back three for Scotland. I know strange Scottish as well, but I watch him do it. I don't like it. I know he suits it for Scotland, but it's a totally different system. I don't like it, and I'd rather he didn't play for United in the back three because we already seen what happened against West Ham. He got bullied. Lukaku was so clutch that night. It's probably one of the fair few times that Lukaku was actually clutch, because I haven't seen him clutch any more times. In terms of the the game though, like what sort of like in terms of like the implications? Obviously, we spoke about at the start of the show. We spoke about the 3 games that's been constantly coming around. Obviously, I said I wanted to see something more concrete about where the club wants to go. If Ollie was to get this result, do you think, and it actually was a positive result, how long do you actually think he will inevitably keep his job for? Because it looks like if he gets this result, like that's 2 out of 3, and it just depends on the City game of the weekend. But if he gets the right result tomorrow, how long do you think he actually will be given? Like obviously, it's not.
I do feel like it'll go to the end of the season if he gets the win tomorrow. I think he's just done enough, and it was that tough spell of games, and I didn't realise how bad Spurs were. I thought it was going to be harder than what it was, and I do feel like they're just going to cling on because if Conte does in fact go to Spurs, there's no one. There's no one that this club is going to go out of their way to go and get. They won't go to another club and wrestle. They don't want. They don't want to. They don't want to use the energy. They don't want to go to Ajax and fight Ten Hag. They don't want to go to say a Brighton to go for Potter. It's for me. Same with Brendan Rodgers. Right now, if there was anyone available, you could say Zidane, but I think he's earmarked for the French job. There's no one out there now if Conte goes, and I think that's what the club were waiting for. They were banking on something happening against Spurs. They would have said, right, our hand has been forced, but there's a good chance we can beat Spurs because they're in a spot. And they probably knew that something was going to happen with Spurs if they lost the game because they were under as much pressure. So I think that was the plan. They probably had that meeting after the Liverpool game and thought, should we just play it out till Spurs and just see? Because I think it will make it easier for us if we do win that game because then Conte will be gone. And then there will be no one left really to go out and get because let's not get it wrong. I mean, if someone with decent caliber like Conte was there, then he would be obvious.
Mm-hmm.
But if he's not there, then they've got that excuse to say, look, we don't want to rush it. We can't. We've got to make sure that this decision's right. And then they would be able to see Ollie out till the end of the season. And then it may look a little bit better for him. But I do feel like this is Solskjaer's last season no matter what. Because
I agree.
I just don't think the fans are going to accept not getting a trophy. And even if he makes top 4, which is a big ask at the moment still, because I'm looking at West Ham, the way that they're playing, and then the inconsistencies of us, and then whatever happens in January with this squad, there's a lot of problems for Ollie still to get around, and there's a long time to go in this season. So I do feel like if he gets the result tomorrow, it was this week, or never. That'd be the end of the season for me.
Yeah, I think so. I've always been by the point of view it all depends on the Champions League in the league itself. So like where we are position wise in the Champions League if we go out. So I think the Europa League, I think if we were to drop down, I think you would see 1 or 2 players actually go either I'm going or he's gone. And you could probably earmark who. Like in all respect, like you could probably highlight Ronaldo will not want to play in that Europa League. He will be pissed. So he will be on it tomorrow to ensure we get the 3 points because I think we only need 1 win. I think we only realistically need the 1 result and then we're going to go through.
Yeah.
I don't see us particularly losing
pretty
out in
much
the
guarantees it. If we win tomorrow, we're pretty much there because we've got to beat Young Boys at home to get to 12 points.
Which will do.
We're not gonna not beat them at home. It's virtually impossible. It is the easiest group in Champions League history. And that's going back when the competition started. And if he failed that would be too much, in my opinion, for him to come back from. But like I said, a win tomorrow pretty much seals it, and that's that to bed. And then there's not enough then for this board to get rid of him. And that's it. I mean, Tottenham got rid of Nuno because he lost to us. And that's how they see it. Do you know what I mean?
It was dubbed El Sacico on Twitter.
Yeah.
It says, oh, really? We went from El Clasico to Oil Clasico to El Sacico.
Yeah.
So it's a natural it seems to be a natural transition for big games now, although that's just the man of circumstance. And George's comment, I can't believe we're top of our UCL group, given how poorly we performed. We'll put it this way, at half-time we were 4th, and then 45 minutes later we were top of our group. So like that just stems from that, like it changes so much. Yep. Struan's comment, he agrees with you, mate. If he was going to go, it would have been this week. I think it was based on that or the international break. I think it was based on the 3 games. But if also I seen your tweets today, you didn't think yourself Conte was going to go to Spurs, but
no,
it does look like it. But
I was shocked only because Spurs would have to change their whole structure to get someone like Conte in. Conte would force them to change their whole transfer policy, structure, wage, and everything. That's why I was shocked. I didn't think Spurs would be able to sell Spurs to Conte. I mean, I've not looked actually for a few hours. I mean, I don't even know if it's definite yet. I know talks are ongoing.
Sure. I haven't looked either. I'm not sure.
Gone a bit quiet on it. I mean, I do think he's just going to hold house and see what happens this week. And then I think we may see Conte go to Spurs in the international break if United don't make a move. I think he may wait it out. I think someone would have just said to him, look, just hang on this week. Have your talks. Let Ryan Mason take his glory 2 games this week for Spurs as interim manager. I think Conte just waiting because if Ollie loses badly in 2 games, there is a chance that the United job is there for Conte. And I don't think the club could even argue the point. They really couldn't. Yeah. If we lose tomorrow, we're in big trouble because then Villarreal becomes a must-win. And Villarreal is a different proposition for us altogether, especially away from home.
They've always been
we've said, our away form in the Champions League is shocking. So tomorrow is a massive night for that in all aspects. Conte deal, Ollie's future. We could be secure in Champions League football, and it's all put to bed. There's so much riding on this week, and I do feel I'd be surprised if Conte signed tomorrow, or if it was this week for Spurs. I think Ryan Mason will come in.
It makes sense.
Yeah, I just feel like someone, if anyone had any sense, they would have just had a conversation with Conte's party and said, just hold out the week, just to see. But you know what? I just feel like Ollie's going to scrape through it. Conte will go to Spurs, and then we'll have 4 elite managers in the league, not one of them at our club, and a real tough season ahead. And I think we'll be the nail in Ollie's coffin because I do think that Conte will get some out of that Spurs team as well, and then he'll get money in January. A couple of signings just to bring that back to life. He'll play Harry Kane where he should be played, and he's a serial winner.
That's when the fear starts. That's when the fear kicks in.
Yeah, that's
it. That's the one thing.
These guys are having a better season than us on paper, and they've sacked the manager.
I know.
That's you've got to get in your head.
Yeah, that's the bit that honestly worries me as well. The one thing as well is I'll come on to Trevor's comment, but there's one thing as well actually that is quite funny. Not quite funny, but it's quite weird. Is Spurs are in the UEFA Conference League, but Conte is the elite manager. He should be. I know he doesn't have a particularly great record in the Champions League, but a manager of his success since he took that Juventus job with Paratici as director of football back in 2011-12, when he went unbeaten in the league. He's always been in the Champions League, bar one season in the Europa League. So he has that.
It was weird, mate.
Yeah, he has that in his locker. So I'm thinking, why would you settle for no disrespect to Spurs in this sense, but why would you settle for a club that's in the Conference League rather than actually, as you've said, wait it out because there's a club still in the Champions League, and that makes more sense. Wait for that,
mate. And for Spurs to attract him, like I said, they would have had to have pulled up trees and changed an awful lot of their system and structure to get him through the door. He's coming with wanting guarantees. And I've seen the rumour about it only being an 18-month deal. That sort of fits for me a little bit because I think he at least knows that if he does make something of himself at Spurs, then he can move on from there very, very soon. And it's a short-term fix. Can he go and get them an FA Cup or a Carabao Cup? Yeah, he could this season.
I think he could, and that's the scary thing. Or he could win that flaming Conference League. He easily could if he wanted to.
Oh, he'd win that. I mean, it's another trophy for him, isn't it? It's that in 8 months, he's got Spurs the first trophy. He could easily get them to the final of the Carabao Cup as well. there's a chance. The FA Cup still to play for. And if he gets him in top 4, then his stock's gone through the roof, hasn't it? It's just gone absolutely crazy.
It says all. There's some absolutely fantastic comments in the live chat tonight, guys. There's 5 people still watching. Please, it's an absolute pleasure. Please hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Get the bell on as well, and give both Adam, myself, and the channels follows as well. Give him a sub. But there's a few comments actually are indeed spot on. This one, the fact that Conte has gone to Spurs makes me believe there was no chance he was getting the United job. I wanted him because the fact this board is spineless and need to put pressure on. Trevor's comment: can't believe we've not appointed Conte. He don't play the United way, they say. But in all fairness, we haven't played the United way since 2013. You're not wrong. Vicky's comment: this is also very true. Conte and Daniel Levy are going to clash. Oh, they will. They are going to clash easily, and there's going to be a meltdown. And then Conte will leave, and he'll expose the stupidity of that board, and says all how far they've fallen. Trevor's comment: if Conte signs for Spurs, then he always seems to follow the Josie route, except United. Well, we all know which one's currently right now a far better manager. And Struan: Conte versus Josie in the Conference League final would be very odd. It would be funny to see who wins that. I would probably put my bets on Conte, to be honest. And George's comment: I think he realised that Ollie's untouchable. Give or take, it depends on these games. The untouchable comment, it literally does. So, in all fairness, George, that's a very fair comment. There's been fantastic comments in the live chat tonight. You've all been fantastic. And obviously, Adam as a guest, he's always class. But I'm going to, as we're coming towards the end of the show, I just want to get your you may as well, because everyone does it. It's always a good laugh. What's your lineup prediction and your score prediction for tomorrow? And are you going back 4 or are you going back 3? It's all on you.
Yeah, I would just, like I said then, for me, it's hard to predict these days, so I'm just going to go with what I think should be. Like I said then, I'd play Sancho out on the right, go with the back 3 of Shaw, Varane and Maguire. Tellez on the left, holding midfield of Matic and Donny, or Pogba, one of the two. Bruno behind Rashford and Ronaldo. I think it's perfect for the counter-attack. It's got everything. It's got a focal point. It's got delivery. It's got pace down the wings. It's got pace up front. It's got stability and passing control in the middle. And a rock-solid defence with Varane back there now and informed David De Gea. I think it's simple.
And the scoreline, what you reckon? That's the madness as well. What you reckon?
After all of that, I'm going to go 1-1.
You never know, that could certainly happen. Me, sort of similar to yourself, it is the exact same system. I've got De Gea and goal as well, the exact same as you. I've actually been thinking about it all night, because you've actually put in the back of my head, Sancho as a wing back actually sounds brilliant, so I'm going to agree with you. But I've slightly changed it a little bit. I've gone Sancho in the right wing back slot. I've got by Varane, Shaw as the 3 centre backs, and I've got Tellez wing back. The midfield, I don't know if Matic will play, but I think it's the right decision. But I've gone for Matic, and I've also gone Van de Beek in there. And then I've gone Bruno in the 10. But it's up top. What I've got differently is I've got Ronaldo there, but I've also got Greenwood beside him. And that's what I've got for mine. Can then bring on like the Rashford and all that off the bench to eventually he wants. But then again, there's always chaos. And I'm going to go on the limelight. I think we'll win 2-1 tomorrow, but then again, we could draw. George's comment, before as we wrap the show, he's got his prediction here. Is my lineup prediction for Ole. I like the specific there. De Gea, Wan-Bissaka, Varane, Maguire, Shaw, Tellez, McTominay, Fred, Bruno, Ronaldo, Rashford. Mm-hmm. To be fair, that would not surprise me. And he's gone 3-1 win. Trevor, if Lindelof is out, then Rachel has decided to hand back her season ticket. And on that is an absolute brilliant comment. I'm leaving it on that. Guys, thank you so much for watching. It's been a pleasure. Obviously, I have been with Adam Matic this evening. Adam, as we're closing out the show, can you please shout out your socials, please, and where we can find you?
Yeah, just hit me up on Adam Matic TV on YouTube, Adam Matic 31 on Instagram, and Adam Matic on Twitter. Simples.
He is the man, literally. And guys, thanks very much for tuning in. Once again, if you can just hit a like, share, and subscribe on the Weekly Armchair Sports Talk. This has been devil's advocate. This is the preview for the Atlanta game tomorrow. Hopefully, tomorrow we can enjoy a good result, an overall good team performance. No media bullshit, because there's been a lot of that lately. Hopefully, it's
I'll
just
be able
overall.
to listen to that this week as well because I miss it all going to the games. But yeah, we've watched it on TV. Be able to listen to some of the numpties as well this week.
Yeah, I wonder who will get on commentary. Probably that fuzzball McManaman. Somebody should hit him with a sledgehammer.
Savage. It'll be Savage or McManaman.
Probably. And George, thanks. Reece, Adam and all, great show. Thank you very much, George. I do appreciate that. Guys, thank you very much. Have a good evening, and we will see you later.